In this video, fellow designer Arthur and I will conduct a portfolio review, sharing insights on what recruiters and hiring managers are looking for. We'll critique real work, discussing what works and what can be improved. And by the end, you'll have some key takeaways and practical tips to help you elevate your own portfolio and stand out in this competitive design field. And so, Arthur, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Arthur, and I am a designer. I'm based in London. I have worked at Meta, Google, RGA, and Wyze. I'm currently consulting for design studios and tech companies in my own design practice. It's a privilege to be here with Timothy and the people at Maven.
We're going to break down Arthur's portfolio. We're going to walk through the work that they've done, talk about the structure of the site, the storytelling, and how they've really put things together in order to try and attract hiring managers and recruiters.
Every designer knows that portfolio is a really hard thing to come up with because it's really hard to talk about ourselves, especially for me. And I wanted to pull this portfolio out quickly because I needed to share with some companies, with some people who were requesting work for me. Because I needed this really quick, I started designing straight on the tool that I designed the portfolio on to see how it would work and what the tool could offer to me. There are many ways you can do this. Of course, I had an initial design thinking on Figma, which I kind of try to make merge get in between while I was doing this portfolio. I think one thing that's really important to me is to have really apparent menu items where I can see a description of the things that I want to find. So for instance, on the top, you can see that's a home link. Of course, you want to go back to this page. You have the cases, which are the most important things of this portfolio. And then I really love my photography work, which I brought in the very first highlight. And then I have my design Instagram and my LinkedIn. I really wanted these to stand out really big, just because I want to make it simple and straightforward. And then as you scroll, you see this highlight, which is almost of a quick introduction of what I do. And because I don't believe roles in general, I think that roles in different companies, they have different names. And I've wore so many hats in my career before. So I just listed all the hats that I wore here, just because I don't think there is a set structure and a set name for what we do. Anyway, we're all designers. And I just wanted to say this is my 2024 portfolio. This is my work hub. I don't want to call this portfolio because I want this to be almost a homepage for myself and for a sort of a studio that I represent, which is me. And then I start with a couple of really important things about myself. One thing is about my identity. I identify as a they, them. I'm a non-binary person. The other thing is the time of my career. I've been working for 19 years now, between design and art direction. Mostly, those are the main roles that I had across these years. And then I just wanted to show my experience in a really brief and designed way. Of course, everything fitting in a grid. Everything needs to be super modernist and the way that I wanted to design this portfolio.
You mentioned about sharing, your photography work on here. I think portfolios aren't just about your professional career. I think it's about you as a person. I think it's important to kind of express who you are, right? And you've done that here. You kind of link the things you care about. Your photo IG isn't necessarily going to get you the job, but it's nice to kind of to show people a bit more of the human side of you and what you're interested in and what you care about and what kind of drives you. Because part of landing a job isn't just about the work itself. It's also about the cultural fit and you as a person. And so it's really great seeing that. Strong navigation. I think that's a key part. A lot of recruiters are looking through tons of portfolios, hundreds in some cases. So having a really clear, strong way of getting around the portfolio, seeing the work is really powerful. And you didn't quite reach there yet, but when I looked at your portfolio yesterday, and I really loved kind of seeing work as quickly as possible. I think, we're designers or visual people. So just below the fold and just below the information is here's work that I've done. So I wanted to kind of call that out as well. But yeah, keep going.
No, thanks. Yeah, that aligns a lot with what I see as and good portfolios in general. So it's every portfolio is almost like a collage of things that you think and things that you I think it resonates well. Of course, design is made of inspiration. We follow some certain trends. We follow certain design schools. We follow certain designs that we love. We learn to love them throughout our careers. So I am heavily influenced by post-Bauhaus stuff. So everything that I do for myself, it should always like be a bit more like minimal. Of course, like every case is a different case. We should design for brands. When I try to walk people through my work, I try to build this sort of like almost like my branding. There's not like a brand or a logo or something like that, but there's also like the sort of like level of personality. But also for me, what I wanted to do is that my portfolio I shouldn't have an identity there's like that stands out against the work itself. It should be a little bit more in the background, but sophisticated, but in the background. So then the work itself can pop up. So I wanted to avoid having like lots of micro interactions, lots of things that make my portfolio kind of like the thing, because the thing should be the work. So that's like the hardest part, is like to find like a level of sauce that you want to add to your portfolio. So this very first moment here, it kind of like I think Timothy, it talks about myself and about my work as a merge. So we need to find like that balance between those two things. And then, like you said, like the first thing you see is like a little bit of my work as a whole as a designer, because like Timothy said, I think we are all like visual people. And I mean, as much as design is strategy and design is product, I just wanted to highlight some of the like really quick like JPEGs and quick images of the things that I've done that I'm proud of. So there's a lot of like work that I did for companies, but there's also a lot of work that I did for myself too. So there's that's like the how we do this sort of presentation page. It's usually a merge between like what you are and what you can offer to the company. Like Timothy said, like cultural fit is really important for me.
Yeah. Just on that point, like, I remember when I was interviewing at places, I would often show work that I have done just for myself, side projects, little interaction concepts. I think that's also, a few of the designers have reached out to me and say, hey, should I show like things that I've done on the side that aren't like at a company or don't have metrics? Like, I think it's important to share what you're proud of. And, it's all sort of in the service of communicating who you are, communicating your skills, communicating your eye, your taste. All these elements are important in kind of creating I guess a complete picture of who you are. And so I think it's great seeing some of those side projects and kind of that's really nice.
Yeah. After I go through this sort of like reel of the things that I like and things that I did that I'm proud of, I just wanted to reinforce as a secondary thing, where was my less role, just because it kind of aligns with your career progression. So I want people to, if they want to hire me as a design consultant, I want them to know what was the last place I worked at, just exactly like what to expect from me. And I just added like currently what I'm doing, which is design consultancy, acceleration, and as a freelancer, and then what I'm focused on and what I'm specialized on. So I just needed people to understand what I'm specialized in, and that helps people while they're hiring for me. Because like first I got some questions. So are you looking for product design roles? Are you looking for brand roles? What are you looking for? And then I was like, actually, I can do both. But if you show them the names that they're looking for, it's easier for them to understand, okay, I'm going to work with this person, or I'm not going to work with this person. I think because people see my portfolio, and I think that kind of resonates with your type of work too, Timothy, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are super visual, and people sometimes have this preconception of, oh, this person is super visual, is super like, like on the side, because there's like a sort of a spectrum that everyone thinks about, which is you're either too strategic or you either too visual. And then when someone is super visual, they think they might have this preconception that the person doesn't have the understanding of the overall like business, which is what drives our work these days. So I really wanted to call that out because to kind of overcome that feeling and that preconception. I think I did a presentation coaching before in my career, and then one thing that I was really impressed by, and that I never did before, is like, who am I designing for? So we would like lay out those people. I'm designing for people who would want to hire me. So these people might be working in big tech companies, in design studios, or advertising agencies, or whatever. And what are their thoughts about someone like me? So, and how I can compensate those thoughts with information. So that's really important while designing your portfolio, which is if you're like heavily in the strategy spectrum of a product designer, for instance, it might be good for you to say something like, to show something like, oh, I know about visual design, or at least I know how to judge a good visual design, or at least I have some sort of understanding of how to craft a good product after my strategy is done. So for me, that's really important. And that's something I really want to do, which is compensate the things that people might think I'm not good at, and show them that I have a vision for that. And one thing that I learned throughout my career, and that's my take on design, and that's what I want to offer to companies, is I want to design products and brands with the highest craft standards. This is a bit obvious. We all should set an aim for the highest craft standards, but for me, I want people to look at, I know that this person can design a good product in terms of craft, also not only on the strategy side. So one thing to call out, I wanted people, after scrolling this page, I wanted people to understand what type of design they should expect from me in a really straightforward sentence. I know it doesn't look that inspiring as it should be, but it's really straight to the point. So if you want to hire me, this is what I'm going to offer. So don't it's good because it helps people to know, okay, this person is not for me, or I would love to work with this person, because it can kind of filter and kind of like help me get exactly the type of job that I want to get. So this is really helpful. I usually tell people to have this sort of big, bold statement of what you really want to do in what is your specific thing, and what's that thing that you think that puts you out of the pool of talents. If you already saw enough and you want to get in touch with me, you have my email here. And if you want to see my work, you can click straight in my work. And then it goes to the cases page. One thing that is really important for me in the portfolio is to be like really intentional of which page you're in, to signpost people who are looking at your portfolio. So in this case, I'm in the cases page. Again, like we repeat the menu on the top, which is important because I want people to have access to all those at any point of their experience while working in my portfolio. And the cases page, one thing that the best portfolios that I've seen, and it's, again, we get inspired by portfolios. There's a sort of a mental model that kind of comes across in every portfolio. And I think that's really positive. That's really interesting. Sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Of course, we're not going to copy a portfolio exactly like it is, because that's not cool. But we can like pick some of the things that in some portfolios that work, that it can work for your portfolio too. I don't think it's a crime. I don't think there's any problem on that. I think it's actually positive, because you're telling that you do research, that you understand about your industry. You're actually telling a lot about yourself as a designer too. So anyway, so how I wanted to do this page, I want people to read the first sentence and to understand like almost exactly what that project is about. So in this case, the meta case, we enable metaverse users to create avatars from a face scan. So if you read this sentence, you already kind of understand what this feature and product is about. So I wanted to replicate that throughout all the cases to create consistency. When you hover each project, you see an animation of something related to that project. So that's what I wanted to do, to create some visual, like sort of pizzazz. And yeah, I have a description for each of the case right in the cases page. So then when people tap into these cases to see them, they already have a sort of they know what to expect.
How many case studies do you think a designer should have on their website?
That's actually a good question, because if you think about interviews, you usually have time to present 2 cases, and then if there's time, you then gonna have like a third. I think one case would take probably like 20 minutes to present, and then the read would be like 5 to 10 minutes. So I don't want to take a lot of someone's time. So I think that probably somewhere in between 5 and 8 is like ideal. But I'd love to hear your thoughts too.
No, yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think for me, the approach that I like to take and tell people to take is that, like, again, there's like a sort of the narrative here. So, like, what story does each case study tell? Like, what are you trying to communicate? And so maybe there's a specific type of skill or a specific experience that you want to try and visualize or communicate with a specific case study. So maybe over like 3 or 4 case studies, you've kind of shown your visual skills, your interaction design, your product thinking, and maybe obviously all of them probably have all those things, but maybe one has like is really, really visual, one is super interaction. So you kind of get like this diverse sense of like in many situations with many different types of problems, with many different types of potential solutions. There's like, here's the breadth of like my skills. So that's kind of like usually how I think about it, is like it's more focusing on the type of skill you want to try and communicate versus like any sort of hard number. But yeah, I think like, yeah, I err on less, because I kind of like I usually like say like 3 to 5 usually, but yeah, I think 5 is around that 5 number is great, because it kind of, you can kind of show the diversity of situations that you're working in. Yeah.
We don't have a lot of junior professionals in our industry just because of the way the industry is set up now. I think I mentor a lot of people who are starting, and I also think that it's not a problem at all to come up with your own like product, to come up with your own ideas. I really love when people come out straight out of the uni with probably like 3 like different like products. I know a lot of really seasoned designers, people who are like directors. They have like their own products, and every product they started as a playful moment for them. So I think that there's like a really good moment to come up with case studies is by creating your own products. If you don't have anything in your portfolio that you want to, if you don't have like any real case study, it's easy to come up with your own products and have something that would help you build your portfolio. This is the space where we have to show our tool set, so it's good to show diversity. It's good to show a project where you are much more strategic than visual and the other way around. So I think that's like the moment. I think I would love to call that out because it's really important. And I 100% agree with you, Timothy, that having this broad set of works might be helpful. But cool, yeah. Like on my portfolio here, we have a couple of projects. For instance, like the Meta project is like it comes from a strategy background. Of course, we needed to create avatars straight from a face scan, but it also has like a visual outcome, so it's a more balanced case study. Whereas the Google project is highly on the strategy side, because you kind of change the mental model of how people edit and manage their business profiles. And then I have one here, which is the Wyze data visualization vision, which was launched in Wyze's Instagram. I think this one is much more on the visual side. So that kind of illustrates what we are talking about, having different types of projects in different types of the project spectrum. So then we can have a good diversity and set of tools, and people can understand what they can expect from us.
I like the balance of actually how you did it on the homepage, and that like you had this reel kind of, that's a really nice thing that I want to add. to my site eventually when I redesign it. But yeah, that reel was great, and I think like like you mentioned, copy is something that can either be reduced or finessed or just like continually like massaged. That's really really good. Yeah, I think the flow overall, having the chance to kind of like continue through the project without having to go back to the homepage is strong. And yeah, even with like the Wyze project, even looking at the page there, like you can kind of see it's definitely more visual, a lot less text, and so that diversity is really key. But yeah, I think it's been really fun, like going through your work and seeing the thought behind it, and I've been taking notes myself. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of like just first say thank you, Arthur, for taking the time to walk through this and share. And I know your site is an inspiration to a lot of people, and yeah, I mean, with all the tools out there now, like with Framer and Wix and all these other tools, it's really easy for designers to build great websites and kind of like have the control over their vision. And so yeah, it's been really cool kind of seeing this as a designer who I guess doesn't write code. So it's really really nice. And yeah, it's been great. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in and taken time to listen. If you have questions or thoughts, you can definitely throw those in the comments. You can reach out to us via email. Just go on goodmaven.com and you'll find the email there as well. And if you're looking for portfolio reviews, you can also reach out to us, and we can definitely help you massage and adjust and improve your work. I want to say thank you, Arthur, and thank you all of you for tuning in. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Timothy. It was a pleasure. Like, actually, we haven't met in person before we started talking about doing this video, and it's a pleasure to meet you and to learn from you and to talk to you. It's a privilege for me to be here. So thanks, everyone at Good Maven. I think it's been super helpful for me. It was actually like a pretty good moment. I feel like I did like 10 years of mentorship now, like after this call. And it's a pleasure to be among like people who are like willing to actually help other people like get a better job or like land on their dream job or something like that. For me, inclusion is definitely something that's my heart, and it's part of what I do, is try to have as many diverse faces in the places that I work for. So I'm here for portfolio reviews, for mentorship, and anything else you want help with. But yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks Timothy and everyone at Good Maven. If you want to, like Timothy said, if you want to have sessions with us, just ping us, probably on the best thing, maybe LinkedIn or something like that. Thank you very much, and have a good week, day, or yeah, whatever you are at. Thank you.
So to wrap up, let's talk about 5 key takeaways that will help you elevate your portfolio. First one, clarity in storytelling. One of the strongest aspects of Arthur's portfolio was the clear storytelling throughout. Each project had a clear logical flow, making it easier for reviewers to understand the challenges and how Arthur approached them. Your portfolio should really tell a cohesive story, with each project connecting seamlessly to guide the viewer through your design journey, balancing depth and brevity. Arthur's portfolio struck a nice balance between showing and telling. It's really important to provide enough detail to demonstrate your thought processes without overwhelming the viewer. So highlight key design details and outcomes while avoiding too much detail that might feel repetitive, especially when it comes to process. 3, showcase your visual design. Arthur's portfolio does a great job at showcasing both product thinking and his visual design skills. Visuals are just as important as functionality, especially for roles requiring a strong eye for design. So ensure your portfolio balances interaction design and visual aesthetics, especially if the role demands it. 4, tailoring for the audience. When actively interviewing, Arthur tailors their portfolio to suit specific jobs or interview stages. Going deep into specific areas is great for design discussions, but might miss the mark in broader reviews. Adapt your portfolio to suit the audience. Whether it's for a design review or an interview, it's important to highlight your most relevant skills. And 5, preparing for feedback and growth. When your portfolio is reviewed, employers naturally offer feedback and identify areas for growth. While you may not always agree with everything they say, it's important to remain open-minded and self-aware to your growth areas. Always be open to feedback. Demonstrating a growth mindset and showing the steps that you're taking to improve is just as important at showcasing your strengths. Thanks again for watching. And if you're interested in more design tips, like and subscribe.